Hello and welcome to the first in a series of lessons on Paper 3, Topic 3, which is entitled UK Challenges. So within these series of videos, you're going to be looking at the 4 different challenges that make up the UK Challenges section of Paper 3. Now there are a few things that we need to talk about with regards to this paper so you can understand it, but the main idea is that this is where a lot of the content you've been covering from papers 1 and 2 and all those different separate topics can work together. It's called synoptic learning. So this is where certain aspects of, the changing cities topic interact with the ecosystems topic. So it's important you understand that in real life, geography isn't just divided up into these discrete discrete areas. It also has these linked parts. And if you go into a job or further study in geography, it's understanding how different aspects of geography work together. So these are the 4 challenges that we're going to be looking at: consumption and environmental challenges, population and economic challenges, landscape challenges, and UK climate change challenges. There's a lot of challenges there. So those 4 challenges are going to be divided up into 4 lessons, which we're going to start with number 1 today. We're going to look at consumption and environmental challenges today. So each section, there's a range of factors involved, and I'm going to kind of disseminate that information to you in a second. All right. So, word of warning: there is one absolute mammoth question in this topic that happens right at the end. So when it comes to an exam situation, the very last question you do for GCSE geography is the biggest. It's a 16-mark question. Now 4 of those 16 marks are for spelling, punctuation, grammar and specialist terms, or SPAGST. So you kind of don't have to worry about those. They'll look after themselves. The 12 marks that remain mean that it's obviously more significant than an 8-mark question. So significant that I've actually done an entire PowerPoint dedicated to the 16-mark question in the GCSE revision playlist folder. So that gives you a full worked example with resources and all that sort of stuff. But the main thing is that even though it's a big question, it is very, very answerable, and it's also, just like the 8 markers made easy, it is something which you can divide up and you can memorize the kind of structure which will work for you every single time. Okay, so just to give you that warning out there, this is where this is the topic where you're going to face this particular challenge when it comes to a question in an exam, not one of the UK challenges. So, consumption and environmental challenges. Now let's have a look at where this crosses over a few of the topics that we've covered. So this is divided up into kind of 4 main areas: UK population growth, rate of growth and future predictions. So that's something that ties into the changing cities topic. Energy and food demand implications. So what that means is, because of our UK's growth, what impact is that going to have on potential energy demand and food demand? So that clearly ties in with the resources and energy resource management topic. Then what pressure do we put on ecosystems? So that ties in with the ecosystems topic. And then how can we resolve those? So things like sustainable transport is a solution to these consumption and environmental challenges. Again, something which we've seen in the changing cities topic. So at the first bullet point, changing cities. The next one links in resources and energy resource management. The third one looks at ecosystems, and the final bullet point again looks at changing cities. So this is how topics are crossing over. The other thing that each challenge is broken into is 3 distinct areas. We are looking at causes of the challenge. So in this case, it's the UK population growth. Then impacts, so the impact of energy and food demand and the impact on ecosystems, followed by solutions. Now, cause, impact, solution are very commonplace and relate to all 3 of the challenges all 4 of the challenges that you're going to face when it comes to the UK challenges section. So try and think of each as a divided up section of causes, impacts, solutions, where the causes, impacts and solutions are all drawn from any one of the 6 different topics that you've looked at from papers 1 and 2. Hopefully that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, I'm not going to repeat myself, but if you want to hear that explanation again, just go back a few minutes in the PowerPoint or the video, and then hopefully you'll understand it second time round. Okay, so we'll start with a UK population forecasting. So we're going to deal with it straight away. First bullet point, we're going to look at UK population growth, the rate of growth, and future predictions. So this is a cause of consumption and environmental challenges here. So here you go. We've got the population that's been definite up to 2010, and actually we're now over at 2020, and our population is, yeah, it's hovering around the 67 million mark, I'd say, roughly, and it's projected to increase by 2030 to just over 70 million. So it's going to increase, and that's a pretty steady increase. It just starts to look like it's going to level off towards the back end of 2025. But you can see there that this is a forecast of population. The trend of this particular graph is what? It's that the population is projected to increase, and it clearly has been increasing since sort of mid-80s quite steadily. With that increase, obviously there are knock-on effects and knock-on problems. What I would say is there is a video link saved onto the JogVlogs folder of Microsoft 365, which is linked to this. There you go. You can see there the YouTube video, which talks to you a little bit about the UK's population growth forecasting. So now we know that the UK's population is going to increase. I've got a bit of a task for you, and this is a geography skills task, because you will be faced with questions like this in paper 3 or throughout papers 1 and 2 as well. This is going to be a maths based task. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to project, calculate the percentage increase for each of the 5-year periods in the 4 UK nations. So what I mean is for England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, these are our UK nations, I would like you to try and calculate the percentage increase from 2010 to 2015, then from 2015 to 2020, then from 2020 to 2025, etc. So to see what the percentage increase is of each of those countries. Now what I mean by that, or what I hope to show by doing this, is that we can see if the rate of increase is going up or going down. Okay, now that's quite an important distinction there. We know from this graph that the population is projected to increase. So it's going to go up, but the speed that it's going to go up is determined by the rate of increase. So what that means is if these numbers start off jumping quite big, a big percentage increase, I say big, it's clearly not a huge percentage increase, but if that percentage increase gets less in every 5-year period, it suggests that the population increase is slowing down. It's not going down, it's slowing down. Because all of these numbers, generally speaking, are increasing. You can see in Northern Ireland, if I went into sort of slightly more detail, it probably wouldn't just be 2 million, but you can see clearly there is a slowing down in the rate of population increase in Northern Ireland. And that might be the same if you look at the other places. It might not, we'll see. But that's the idea. You work out the percentage increase for each 5-year period. Now in the JogVlogs folder of 365 there is a table that will help you with this, but the key thing is here, the skill that I'm after really to show you the rate of increase and how it's changing is getting you to use your numeracy skills in geography, looking at percentage increase. It's very, very important. It's probably the hardest mathematical and numerical skill you have to do in geography. It doesn't happen very often in an exam. In fact, I've not yet seen it occur in any of the exam papers, but it is in the specification as a skill you need. So if it hasn't happened yet, chances are it's going to happen soon. So you must learn how to do percentage increase and decrease for that matter. Alright, that task should take you a good chunk, and the reason I've done it for quite a lot is because I want you to practice it. If you repeat how to do percentage increase again and again and again, it's going to give you a better chance of it sticking. Alright? Now, on the handout on 365, there are additional extension questions to complete. So if you do get this done, make sure if you've used that sheet on 365, that you then answer those extension questions. Okay, pause the screen while you do that, please, and when you're ready, you can unpause. Okay, so now we've looked at the cause, because those last 2 slides, okay, where we covered this, which was about rate of increase, and we've looked at this, which shows you total increase in population, that is the cause of these environmental and consumption challenges. So now we're going to move on to the impacts. This is one of the impacts of increased numbers of people, the population rate going up. Resources, understandably, are more impacted. So these resources represent, so water, the resource of water, absolutely vital for human life. We use water for our energy needs because we turn it to steam to turn turbines for electricity. We use water in the production of food through watering and other products as well. And we use water day to day for drinking, for dishwashing, for cleaning, for bathing, whatever. So water, important resource, that's under pressure as a result of an increasing population. Energy is another resource that's under pressure from an increasing population. Food, pretty straightforward. Again, we need to grow more, we need to import more food to help nourish the population. But other less obvious things, jobs are a resource. They're something that we need and we use. We use those to make money, to generate tax, whatever. If there aren't enough jobs for the population growing, then that's a problem too. Schools could get overcrowded, quality of education could go down. And housing, okay, are there enough homes for the people that are being added to the population? So what you need is a summary. It can be a spider diagram like this, or it can be just a list of resources affected by increasing population. We've got labour resources, you've got school resources or education resources, you've got housing resources, you've got water, energy and food resources. All of these different things affected by an increasing United Kingdom population. Now, jot those down. When you're ready, unpause the screen and we can carry on. So this graph shows you the electricity supplied by fuel type. Now again, it's just a nice way of pictorially showing you the reliance we have on electricity currently, and then just how much that's set to increase. So if I could decipher this a little bit for you, the bars are each made up of a different year's worth of electricity supply. So in 2000 there were 371 terawatt hours of electricity, and that electricity was generated by coal and oil, gas, nuclear power, renewables and other. So, and this specifies the percentage actually that renewables have made or contributed to electricity in 2000. Now, anything past 2010 on this graph, and I know that's over 10 years ago now, but anything past that is a prediction or an estimation, okay, because this was made during about 2012. So this was before 2012 had finished, but they already had some stats. Now, what you can see is what gradually happened is the renewables proportion has actually increased quite steadily, and it's projected to continue to increase and then kind of level off at around about a third of the electricity that we provide. So it's past sort of 2020. It's going to kind of level off the amount of renewables we've got. The energy usage or production that we've got up to 2012 has actually been decreasing slightly. Now that is probably explained by the fact that we're getting better at producing kind of energy efficient products. You know, if you look at energy efficiency ratings now, there used to be like a pretty standard like A, B, C, D, E, where A was the most energy efficient. But because they've created such energy efficient appliances, like dishwashers is one example, you can now have A+, A++, and A++, to make it really confusing, appliances which use less and less energy. And the population's not increasing so significantly that we're not actually making a difference, because those energy efficient appliances have clearly shown that we're using a bit less or producing less electricity. Now, come sort of 2018, which has already gone past when this was, we are actually, and this is a trend actually happening, we are now using more electricity again, even though we've reached the limit of energy efficiency in a lot of products. Or maybe we haven't, I don't know. But what you can see is that our energy increase or usage is going to continue into 2030. So that's clearly a challenge. We've got those challenges on resources, but this one specifically, as energy, is a challenge for us. We're going to be using more energy than ever before. And by 2028, they project that it will be the highest amount of energy we've ever used. Now, that energy is not getting taken from coal and oil. That's set to peter out by by 2030. But gas is still clearly a big factor. Nuclear is going to become a bigger factor, and there is a lot of resources and energy going into developing nuclear energy in the UK, which is stalling the renewables there. Okay. And this is, again, another graph that shows energy. It's a bit pixelated, sorry about that. But this is about energy demand by sector, and they've divided up the sectors into four. So transport demand is going up, and by 2020, which is again is a year just gone, it has increased over time. Residential demand, which is this one, okay, is second one on there, that is actually pretty stable, but you can see it's slowly and steadily increasing, a kind of a, not a dramatic level, it's just pretty steady, okay, it's going up. Industrial energy demand was actually doing really well. It was going down, they were using less and less of it, but since the sort of early 2000s it started to creep back up again, and it's on an upward trajectory again. And then services, places like shops, again it's a slight increase, but much sort of less dramatic than other areas. Now the overall kind of trend here is that every single one of them, we took it from 2010 onwards, they're all in an upward curve. They're all going up. So we are clearly, in every sector, some worse than others, but we are using more energy and have demand for more energy than ever before. And again, as population goes up, that trend is set to continue. Now, this is going to be a way that you can get the notes down and practice some exam skills. So this is all about pressure on ecosystems. We've looked at the pressure on resources, like food, water, energy, etc. But this is now looking at the impact on ecosystems as a result of that population increase. Because people need houses, and houses need to be built somewhere. And you can't just build houses on top of each other, although you can to a certain degree. There is going to be a point at which space runs out. But we also need space for other things. Ecosystems are being destroyed, not to put housing up, but sometimes just to grow crops for us to eat. And the minute you get rid of an area of woodland to grow wheat, yes, I know wheat is a plant, but it's one plant, and it creates a monoculture. And monoculture means that it's not very biodiverse, and that's bad for ecosystems. So what I've got is a handout on 365 in the job logs folder with a set of ways that ecosystems are going to be affected by population increase, or can be affected by population increase. Your job is to try and extend those ways. So I've already started it for you, but this is perfect for trying to get you 3 marks out of these little tricky explain 1 for 3 marks questions, of which there are quite a few. So you can see here I've started it, increased population. It's all to do with population. Remember, this whole challenge is about the increase in population and the impact that has on consumption and ecosystems. So increased population means we need more food, okay, an increase in food production. That is one way the growing population can affect ecosystems. But what I haven't done in my explanation, so this would be worth 1 mark, tick, I haven't explained how, and I haven't gone far enough. So increased population means an increase in food production, which means what do you need for there to be more food production? You need space. So where do you put that space? What do you clear out the way? Okay, then what does that lead to? How does that specifically affect an ecosystem in the UK? So this first one, you could be more specific than me, but increased population means an increase in food production, tick. This can lead to land being cleared to help grow crops, which are a monoculture, leading to a reduction in biodiversity of ecosystems. There we go, 3 marks from my starting point. So what I'd like you to do is take these starting points and try and extend them twice to get 3 marks for 1. If you're really struggling and you've got access to it, the Highland Cow textbook, page 277, will help. But truthfully, it makes more sense that you do this, because this is really a kind of a genuine exam scenario type question. Although the exam won't give you this insert connective box thing, you should be trying to put these together as a big sort of 3 distinct marks within 1 answer. Alright, pause the screen while you attempt that, please. This is really pretty vital for you understanding the impacts on UK ecosystems of population increase. So here you go, I've got some answers just put on there which are slightly different to the ones I verbally went over with you. So increased population means an increase in food production, so the growth of farming industry or agribusiness means fields are bigger, so hedgerow habitats are removed. That's another way you could go down. I would say that this answer is probably slightly less obvious than the one that I went through verbally just before you unpause the screen, but this is the one that matches the book, so I just thought I'd show you where it highlighted it in the book. So, addressing UK population issues. We're now onto the solutions part of this topic. So the first part, we've looked at the causes, population increase, the rate of population growth, the impacts, which were the impacts on resources and ecosystems we've just looked at with the 3 as a magic number task. Now we've got to start to work out what we can do about it. So one of the things that we can do, you have looked at in a previous topic, changing cities. We looked at making places more sustainable. But there are other ways that we can actually reduce the impact of consumption, because one of the things that population increase is doing is it's using more energy. So we can conserve energy. You did a whole section in the resources and energy resource management section looking at how things like Eddie Stobart and McDonald's and Woking Council, the UK government and individuals can help reduce energy usage, so managing energy. So you can see how this ties in to this topic quite nicely. We've also looked at developing alternative and renewable energy sources. So things like renewable power and how Germany and China are really investing in their sustainable energy programs. We've looked a little bit at brownfield and greenfield sites as part of the changing cities topic, and I'm going to do a bit more about brownfield and greenfield within this kind of series of videos, so I'm not going to dwell on it quite yet. And we've also looked at managing water systems a little bit when we look at river catchment management in the River Dee. But the thing that we're going to focus on, because this is the one that ties into the exam board's kind of specification, is sustainable transport. So this links really nicely with the changing cities topic, and again shows you how the changing cities topic links to the ecosystems topic, links to the resources topic, and they're all jumbled together synoptically. So on 365 is a handout that you can see on the screen now. It's got 3 different sustainable transport methods: congestion charge, park and ride, and cycle lanes and public use bicycles. Alright, so what I'd like you to do, because I've completed most of it for you, I would like you to complete the missing sections. Alright, so UK energy consumption from fossil fuels is a huge factor in impacting UK ecosystems, but it's also a global issue. So climate change, people's health, destruction of habitats, all problems going forward. And sustainable transport is one really good way that we can do to try and manage some of these consumption challenges. So making transport more sustainable is a thing the UK are actually prioritising quite a lot of at the moment. Now the table, like I say, has already been started for you. It could easily be a 16 marker and has been, okay, where there's been information about sustainable transport as a 16 mark question. Page 278 and 279 of the Highland Cal textbook will help, but you've got the internet at your fingertips. What I've done is I've modelled for you the level of detail I'd like for each section and the number of different kind of bullet points I'd expect. So I'd say at least 2 positives and 2 negatives. Real world example of congestion charging, probably go for London, it's probably the most well known, and tell me what congestion charging is, how does it work. That's really important. The park and ride stuff I've taken directly from Norwich, so this is something which ties in with our changing cities topic quite a lot. And the cycle lanes and public use bicycles, I've got Boris bikes here, which are well known, but we've also got in Norwich now Beryl bikes. We used to have like Ofo bikes, but they got done. So Boris bikes and Beryl bikes are good examples of these public use bicycle systems. Alright, so once you've completed the notes on this, you have actually completed the notes on the first UK challenge. So you will have covered the UK population increase and the impacts that's having on consumption of energy and water and all other resources, and the pressure it's putting on ecosystems, followed by a tangible and very exemplified solution or several set of solutions to those challenges through sustainable transport. Okay, so hopefully you found this sort of synoptic part of the paper interesting. We're going to look at the second challenge in the next video. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you next time.